Hey guys, welcome to another episode of East Coast Rams podcast. I'm your co-host here, Ashton, with my awesome co-host, Zach, and we have some special guests from the First and 56th podcast. I got Rondo and Anthony. First off, I want to ask you, gentlemen, how are you guys doing? NFL season is still in its infancy. We're not even halfway through, but a lot of drama and a lot of fireworks. How are you guys doing?
I mean, for the first time in a long time, we're actually on like the bright side of the football season. Obviously, sitting undefeated. It's been a long time coming since we've been able to have that feeling. So, for me at least, I'm feeling great.
It's been almost 20 years since a 3-0 start.
Almost
2011, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
long time.
Yeah, Rebirth of Danny Dimes. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? You guys have gone through so much with your QBs since Luck retired. Just how does it feel? At least have some, let's say, non-turnover right now, and it looks like Daniel Jones is, at least for this year, going to be stable enough.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Rondo can kind of echo this. I mean, it's been great so far. Daniel Jones definitely proved me wrong. I was very upset about the decision, to be honest, at first, because I'm still a big Anthony Richardson believer, but I'm not gonna crowd him just yet, just because Wentz had me fooled, man. Wentz had me fooled. He threw for 400 yards against Baltimore. We were beating all the playoff teams that year. Like, coincidentally, like we beat the 49ers, beat the Cardinals. We were beating all these high-profile teams, but at the end of the year, you can't beat Jacksonville, and you're throwing left-handed passes. So I'm not going to crown Daniel Jones just yet, because Wentz had a very similar start, and I thought Wentz was the guy. Actually similar situation. Wentz was a younger QB, about 27, 28. They wrote him off, and you're thinking, wow, if this works, you got Wentz for another 10 years, and then Wentz kind of just phased out. So I'm not going to crown him just yet, but I'm loving what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, it's interesting just because the Colts seem to have success with more of the veteran quarterbacks. I mean, you even look a few years ago when Phillip Rivers came in for a short term, they were doing pretty well with him. Same even with like Joe Flacco when he played a few times. Like, they've had success with more of the veteran quarterbacks who come in for a short period of time than they have with, these new guys that they try to bring in, with Anthony Richardson to be the main one.
Yeah.
So you say that, but then we had to go through that Matt Ryan season. So like it's been hit or miss. And like, I've made the joke for like the past few years. I'm just like, is this what other teams go through? Because I'm not supposed to be used to this. We've been spoiled with quarterback play in Indy, and I don't like this quarterback carousel thing. It is not fun.
No, I can't imagine that. And that's why we've been every offseason, as a Rams fan, we have been like panic mode that we are going to lose Matthew Stafford. And so, like, we don't want to be in that position. And it feels like that's our next step once Stafford's done, unless we get a miracle.
Well, this sounds like a great transition into, like, what are you, like, talking about Indy going into the season? How did you guys feel about this team? And I know Anthony kind of mentioned it a little bit, his feelings. And then how did the fan base feel going into the season, getting Daniel Jones? I think they announced that there was going to be QB competition between the two, and then Daniel Jones winning the job outright. How did all of that go? Was it like, we feel like we're going to be in the playoffs, or did you guys really not expect much going into this year?
I went on the record that signing Daniel Jones, I felt like it was like a fake test. It was we're going to push Richardson, but really it's his job to lose. And as far as the fan base, I feel we're all kind of on the same page that you drafted this kid number 4 overall in the draft. That's not just someone you just give up on that quickly. Like, it's clearly his job to lose. He's the guy. He's supposed to be the guy. He's the franchise quarterback. He's young. The whole team is young around him. Like, let's get him moving. Let's go. But then the fact that you signed for a $14 million deal, even though it was like 1 year, and then obviously he ultimately ends up winning the job, and there was chaos. Nobody, ourselves included, were happy about it. We had no desire. I mean, we saw how bad he was in New York, especially after they picked him over Saquon. Saquon leaves and then still blows up while he's getting cut, ends up with the Vikings. So, I mean, I was not a fan. I didn't like it. Like Gulick mentioned about Carson Wentz, I was like, I'm not going to get gaslit again into believing that Daniel Jones is going to magically figure it out here. But 3 weeks later, he's looked great. But same thing, like Gulick said, I'm not crowning him just yet. Obviously, I got gaslit by Carson Wentz. Ironically enough, Gulick sold me on Carson Wentz also during that season. And then obviously the Jacksonville debacle happened. Daniel Jones, he's looked great these first 3 weeks. Like, I'm not going to be a hater and be that I want him to fail, but I'm not crowning him just yet as the heir apparent.
So like, is it your guys' take right now, and you can kind of talk about your reaction to the season as it's been? Is it more like a mirage, you think, against the people you have played against? You did play Denver, which is a talented defense, but outside of that, is it more who you guys have played? Is it the system? Or do you think it can be a mix of a little bit of things and he's doing slightly better than you expected?
Both. I think both, to be honest. I was there week 1 for the Miami game, and I didn't think Miami was going to be that bad because the first 4 possessions, I mean, that was the loudest I've heard Indy in a while. And the first 4 possessions, I want to say, were, interception, forced fumble, punt, and turnover on downs. Like, Miami couldn't get anything going. And there was more of a testament to our defense. And, kind of people were saying, like, it's only because Miami stinks and whatnot, but just like you said, Denver's a pretty good defense regardless of what their offense says. They're a pretty good defense, and honestly, I didn't think we were gonna beat Denver. I just wanted for Jones to play a good game, a turnover-free game. I didn't expect a 300-yard performance there, but I was thinking, maybe if he goes, say, 15 for 26 for maybe I don't know, 225 and a touchdown, no picks, that's pretty pedestrian. If he does that and we still lose a close game, who cares? That's a subtle win because we're kind of taking things as they go. But he's throwing against, he was attacking Patrick Surtain all game. He was doing some crazy stuff in that game. And then, obviously in Tennessee, we haven't lost to Tennessee in over 2 years. So that's kind of a wash. But, I guess our real test is this week against you guys because, you guys got a pretty good defense as well. So, I'm kind of taking the same outlook here. I don't think we're going to win this game, but I think if Jones just plays, like a pretty pedestrian, game, and at least and like the run game is at least gonna keep us in it. So as long as it's competitive and he doesn't make any turnover free, or if he doesn't have any like crazy turnovers, then I'm fine with that, to be honest.
So even though I'm the resident Rams fan, with Ashton here, I'm the only one who lives in Indianapolis. So to me it feels like, from what I'm hearing kind of around the work walls, is that people are now hyped. They weren't coming into the season hyped. Now they are hyped, not only with the Colts, but you have IU, you have the Fever. There's a lot of things right now building on top of each other. And so this Colts have this really good momentum. Obviously, with Jim Irsay also passing, I feel like there's also a lot riding on this team to do it for him as well. Everywhere it's for the boss. You see that pretty much everywhere downtown Indianapolis. But really, Daniel Jones and this Colts offense has been, they are now either the top or top 3 offense in the league right now. They've allowed 1 punt in the first 3 weeks of the season. So this is going to be an exciting game where you have a top 3 offense facing up against, me truly believe that it is a top 3 defense with the Rams. So it's going to be exciting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and I've always felt like Indy last few years has been underrated roster-wise. I've almost kind of felt like they've underachieved what they have had on their roster top to bottom, just probably because of quarterback play. I don't know if you guys attribute that some to the head coach or not. But I really do like a lot of the elements of your roster. I think you guys have an underrated wide receiver core. Zach can testify. I was a big Josh Downs person coming out of draft. I wanted us to draft him really badly, and he looks like a stud for you guys. Pittman is really good. What about this offense? And Tyler Warren, you guys got him in there now too. What about this offense? Has it really humming outside of Daniel Jones just not doing Daniel Jones things to kind of cause you headaches?
Well, for starters, it's the rookie you mentioned, Tyler Warren, because I mean, but going back to when Richardson got drafted, I was on the record of saying that he's getting drafted into probably like the best situation for a rookie quarterback because we have literally all the pieces around him. Our O line for the past few years has always been exquisite. You know, our receiver, it's not the greatest, but it's definitely underrated. You know, Pittman, Downs, and Pierce is a pretty good 1, 2, 3. You know, obviously we're not in like top 5 anything like that, but those are 3 very dependable, good receivers who all can hit you at 3 different levels. We were all missing a tight end, which we got that in Tyler Warren, and now it's made the whole offense be complete. The fact that Daniel Jones has, I guess, figured it out, or maybe him and Steichen are just clicking that he's running the offense well, works great. Because I've long said with Richardson is that he doesn't need to come in here and play Superman like Andrew Luck, even Peyton Manning had to. He really just had to come in here and just not mess it up. So Daniel Jones has been able to do that, and it's great. But obviously, like you mentioned before, our whole offense, our whole roster, really, it's so young, and it's kind of set for a quarterback really to just slide in and just don't mess it up, and we should win games.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think an underrated thing too, because I watch a lot of the AFC South trash talk and stuff. A lot of people were really down on our offensive line as well, because you got your franchise cornerstones on the left side. Ryman just got paid, and Nelson is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean that's certified. You'll never see a guard taken at 6 in the draft ever again, but. And then on the right side, we got Braden Smith at tackle, but the interior there, is second-year guy Tanner Bortolini. He only came in for, a couple games last year, and he was pretty good in the few games he played. And then we got Matt Goncalves there at right guard, and he was mainly a swing tackle last year, drafted out of Pitt. So these are both 2 second-year guys. They really played sparingly, and we lost Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. Both went to Minnesota, and people thought that the offensive line was going to fall off, but they look like they haven't skipped a beat. These guys on the offensive line. I mean, Taylor's getting every hole imaginable, and he's hitting every hole. I mean, he's leading the NFL in rushing yards because of it, and even like the other guys too. Like I said, I was there week 1. DJ Giddens played the entire fourth quarter, the running back that we just drafted out of Kansas State, and he was getting some really good looks himself. He was averaging about 4 or 5 yards per carry. So the offensive line is actually really good. So that's actually, one thing that I've been pleasantly surprised, seeing those 2 second-year guys really play well, especially having that swing tackle from last year play inside at guard. I didn't think Bortolini was going to suck, but really seeing how Matt Goncalves is doing, that's really, a nice thing to see, in my opinion.
So I have a question for you guys. So Johnathan Taylor, amazing running back. I truly have loved watching him play. Really, I really thought the Rams might try to pick him up when there was like that disagreement between the contract and everything like that. Like I was kind of hoping about that. So I'm a big fan of Johnathan Taylor. The question that I have for you guys is that after if you guys watched the week 3 matchup against the Rams versus the Eagles, do you think that he's going to be as successful when the Rams were able to shut down Saquon Barkley? I mean, he kept him under 40 yards or under 50 yards that game.
Yeah, at least for me, I don't think they'll hold them under 50, but I think they'll keep them pretty grounded just because, I mean, to my point, I just talked about, how good the Colts offensive line is, but, sometimes, just against random teams, they do get blown up sometimes. So, this might just be this might just be a really bad matchup for them, but, the Rams defensive line is, a team, honestly, that I respect a lot. I respect the Rams defensive line a lot. One of my close buddies from back home here is a diehard Rams fan, and I really loved the Jared Verse pick from last year, and I'm a big fan of Kobe Turner. So, if they clog those holes, up front there, I mean, I could see Taylor only having a 50-60 yard game, and then the narrative start to come like, did he fall off, or is he overrated after 3 weeks or whatever? But I think the Rams will hold them under check because after watching the Philly game, I did watch the Philly game. I saw that the Eagles had a lot of success passing in the second half. So if the run game's not working, then it might be more of a make Daniel Jones win the game for him. So that's just my opinion on how the Rams will probably attack this game.
Mhm.
Well, sorry, Ashton, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, a lot of people from the outside of the NFL are starting to realize, like, the Rams really heavily focused this offseason on stopping the run. They knew the reason they lost to the Eagles both games was because of Saquon in both of those games. So they focused heavily investing not only into more D linemen, but also into the linebacker position. As much as this team will invest into the linebacker position, they did. And you guys will hear the name Nate Landman. He's one of the reasons Saquon got stuffed, so to say. But I think Taylor is such an elite talent, and this Colts offense can attack you in a little bit different ways, and they're a little bit more exotic, I would say, than the Eagles offense. At least with the different schemes they kind of show you from the first 3 weeks. Versus what the Eagles have been doing. So I definitely expect Taylor to at least get like 70, 80 yards. Like, still a great game for a running back, just not what he's used to. And I expect a touchdown. So
The one thing that I will say that I am terrified about is our special teams in the Rams. That is the whole reason why we lost the game to the Eagles. We would have won if we would have got both those field goals. And coming into week 3 against the Colts, teams that have gone up against the Colts are only 2 for 5 on hitting field goals. So again, it comes down to the special teams play. And I feel like the people have been watching the Rams and figured out, after our Titans game where they blocked an extra point, they were able to figure out maybe what the weaknesses of the Rams are as far as special teams go. How are you guys feeling about your special teams?
The special teams really, that's kind of been one of the few units that's been like forever consistent for the past 6-7 years of our team. Obviously, we had a little bit of shaky moments. Obviously, we remember the hot rod season. Remember at the end of Adam Vinatieri, and then obviously Matt Gay didn't necessarily work out the way it was supposed to. But as far as the other phases, definitely, punting, covering punts, and kickoffs, those have forever always been solid. And even then, like, a lot of those guys who are on those special teams units work their ways up into being starters, a consistent starter. Zaire Franklin started off on the team, a 7th-round pick. He was the special teams captain, works up to being the starting linebacker. A guy who I was big on, we don't have him anymore, EJ Speed, same thing. Special teams guy who worked his way into the starting lineup. So that unit for the past 5-6 years has, for most times, been our best unit on the team.
have you guys seen about our knuckle punts? Rams. The Rams, and I think the Jags right now have I think a 10-yard advantage in starting kickoff field position because of these special knuckle punts. I don't know what the Jags are doing, but at least with Rams, our kicker Joshua Carty has been apparently practicing this all offseason, and teams can't field it at all. They had 3 or 4 drops in the Eagles game, just not able to catch it.
Yeah, I'm definitely worried about that, but yeah, I think the special team, just like Rondo echoed, I think it's been pretty good. And coincidentally enough, nobody talks about it, but we blocked a field goal too against Tennessee. It just didn't matter because we were beating him so bad. But Big Grove got his hand up, and we also blocked the field goal. So when everybody was talking about you guys twice and the Jets and the Browns, we blocked one too on Sunday. So
just didn't matter as much.
It just didn't matter as much, and it was in the first half. The other ones all coincidentally happened. With the game on the line, the other 4, but ours happened in the first half. So I'm not. I'm never really worried, but one thing I am worried about though is our kicker Schrader. We haven't really had to necessarily worry about him from outside 45 because the Colts offense has just been kind of moving so far down the field. But he did miss the initial 60-yarder against Denver. Then there was a leverage call, and then in that first half there, against Tennessee, he missed a 50-yarder. So we haven't really seen him from 50 plus yet. Now, granted, the dude inside 40 is money. I mean, I saw a graphic on Facebook. Shout out to the Texans. Spencer Schrader has scored more points himself than the Texans offense has all year. So shout out to Schrader. But and I just hate Houston too. So I loved every part of that. But I want to see him from 50 plus. So that's kind of an unknown yet. But so far he's been money from inside 40.
That's good.
Any concern? I saw today that the Colts, even though the Rams are terrible in the red zone, but the Colts have the worst red zone defense in the league currently. I mean, we could really use a little bit of help in the red zone, all we can get. What are your guys' thoughts around that?
I don't necessarily have a concern about the red zone, but I just have a concern about you guys' receiver room. Because, I mean, in Puka's short career, he's torched us. Devontae has torched us for eons. And then Matt Stafford is absolutely no scrub of a quarterback. Not to mention that we have no Kenny Moe. So our corner room is already down, probably our best corner. So Charvarius Ward's going to kind of be by himself, and we still got a young secondary.
And Ward's probably going to cover Devontae, is what I'm seeing.
I would assume so. He typically just kind of gets on the outside. I guess Puka plays more of the slot.
Yeah.
But not having Kenny Moe scares me the most, more so than just a red zone.
Are you guys primarily a zone defense, or do you guys do a lot of like man, or do you mix it in?
They've been mixing it now.
Yeah, thank God we finally mix it in.
Yeah, they've been mixing it. They've been mixing it in because Gus Bradley was running AI Madden generated plays. Like that guy was not. That guy was not doing it. But I'm even talking to my buddy like the first week when I was there, that second possession against Miami, Kenny Moore got a forced fumble off a blitz. When's the last time, Rondo, I don't even know, when's the last time we saw a corner blitz? It never happened. It never happened. They always played like that cover 3, like nobody was ever traveling with the receivers. Like it was just this prevent crap. And the only time that Gus Bradley ever showed up, coincidentally, was when we played the Chiefs. It was, I don't know. The scheme wasn't great, but now they kind of mix a little bit in. But yeah, Kenny Moore not being in there, it definitely scares me. And we picked up Mike Hilton. He's probably going to play in the slot this week. Whoopee. I mean, that guy was good 5 years ago. So,
but if the Colts can just keep up putting up points, it may not matter necessarily what the defense can do. I mean, you guys are tied for second as average points scoring per game with 34. So, you guys are just cranking on in that offensive attack. So we'll see how it does against the Rams defense.
So if it makes you feel better, we have been having issues with the O-line significantly, especially with pass protection. And that's going to have to be something where I feel like from the Rams' point of view, if we still don't have both of our guards back healthy, we're probably going to have to run the ball more. And I know you guys have DeForest Buckner, so you don't have scrubs when it comes to run, at least run protection. How have you guys been doing with stopping the run if the Rams choose to go quick pass and runs most of this game?
Well, I mean, you name dropped DeForest Buckner. Really, the run guy is Grover Stewart, actually. Buckner's more of a pass rusher. Grover Stewart's the guy who's really stuffing the run and everything. I mean, he's top tier in the league. He's very underrated also because most of the interior defensive linemen that you ever hear about are those guys who are getting in the backfield, getting sacks. Grover Stewart's not one of those guys. He's been kind of the run stopper. And that year where he missed 6 games due to suspension, our defense took a massive hit not having him. So him on the field, I'm never ever worried about the run. It's really I'm gonna keep cycling back to it. What scares me the most about this game is the pass and nothing but that.
Yeah, and the linebackers normally too are actually pretty good at tackling. Franklin's pretty shaky in coverage, but he's pretty good at tackling. He's led the league in tackling past couple of years. So after they get past the D lineman there, I mean Franklin's actually pretty reliable in the run game. So teams never normally really run on us. I mean, granted, we faced Derrick Henry for the last 10 years, and I don't remember him having that many big games. He was notorious for getting stopped by us all the time, especially on fourth down a lot. I mean, Henry's never really had a big game against the Colts. So, the run game we're not necessarily worried about. It's more the pass game, but Yeah, just like Rondo said, Grover Stewart, you can notice when he's not there. You got to have him there.
Yeah, it's going to be very critical in this game because if you have Didic and Limmer at guard, either one of them in, they got around like, I think their average grade was like one had a 0 and the other had 10 PFF pass blocking grade. I know like that isn't everything, but like even just watching the game, they were atrocious, just letting instant pressure in Stafford's face. So I think that's a key thing for the Rams is having Dotson back and healthy. Even when he came back, he was still a little banged up, and you could see he wasn't 100% himself. And then having Avila, we really need Avila back. He's day-to-day, so we still don't especially know if he'll be playing yet. But if they both play, I feel like the Rams' chances of winning this ball game is a lot higher.
Yeah, Dotson is not on the injury list for us. And then Steve Avila, yeah, he is still day-to-day, but apparently he did play half of his snaps or his reps today in practice. So that's a positive sign for the Rams.
Yeah. So moving to this Colts offense and the Rams defense, what's the like biggest concern with the Rams defense you guys have with stopping this high-powered Colts offense?
I would say for me, the defensive line, just echoing on that again, coincidentally, Michael Pittman is kind of the same as AJ Brown in the sense of like he just like super physical. He might not be like the greatest route runner and not have like the best hands, but like he's just super physical. So, I think like he could definitely get his way, if he really forces it. But also it's Daniel Jones too. Running from the D lineman from the Rams, like Byron Young, I respect him a lot too. Daniel Jones, I don't think he's taken that many sacks. I think the Broncos got him once, but like
Two.
last
I
or
think,
like
I saw 2 sacks total.
one or two sacks total. But like last game, I mean, there was this crazy play, where he spun out of a sack and then ran for like 20 yards. But then again, that's the Titans, so
Right.
you have to take that with a grain of salt. But I'm me personally, I'm the most scared of like how the defensive line will match up here with the offensive line. So that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess take the Chief route really is for me. It's more on Daniel Jones. I'm like, can he continue doing what he's been doing the past 3 weeks, or like is the honeymoon going to finally be over? Not that I'm really trying to be a hater on it, but I'm just like I'm still not sold. And like I said, he was nice against Denver, but like we said early in the show, like this is going to be another kind of a real test if he's actually figured it out. If Steichen's the quarterback whisperer, or like I said, if the honeymoon's over.
How much time has he had in the pocket?
A lot.
Because that's
a lot.
Because that's the other thing too, is like the Rams don't like you have to get the ball out within like 2.5 seconds, or the Rams kind of just eat you up unless you're able to scramble. And that's my one concern if I was a Colts fan is that can Daniel Jones scramble away from whether it's Byron, whether that's Verse, or whether that's Kobe Turner or something like that. Like, can he do that? And we do tend to do a lot of full out blitzes where we bring in our corners or our safety in and try to make a play. So that would be my one concern, I think, for the Colts, as can they stand up to the pressure?
Yep, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. DJ's got to get that ball out quick. I think he's got to get that ball out quick, man. But honestly, after watching the All 22, he's been making like some nice like impromptu throws too. People just kind of say, like, because there still are some naysayers here, and people just kind of saying like, like it's just a scheme and whatever. And granted, Steichen's he's dialing up some really creative stuff, but Jones is still making, like, he's stepping up in the pocket. Like, he's never shown pocket presence like this in New York.
Yeah.
Never. Like, even that one year where they beat who they beat Minnesota in the playoffs that year. I mean, he's looked better now than he did then. So,
Well,
it's
I've
just
always
a matter of if you can.
Yeah, I've always said that a lot of these, quarterbacks who just get thrown in first year as a rookie, they need time to develop. And I think, Anthony Richardson, I think, is a prime example. Is like, I just wish he was able to be healthy behind somebody
Right.
for a year. Like, not just throw him in there, he gets injured and then he's out for 4-6 weeks or whatever. Like, I really do believe that a lot of these quarterbacks, even Patrick Mahomes was behind somebody for a year. Like, most of these quarterbacks, they need to have some time in the NFL before they just get thrown to the wolves. And unfortunately, Cam Ward is probably one of those other examples where he's made some good plays here and there, but is he quite ready for the NFL? He could be better if he would have just had a year under somebody else.
Yeah. And I will say with our defense, Shule's done such a great job at mixing looks, confusing quarterbacks. You have very much seen, at least in the first two games against tight ends and against the Texans, you saw their offenses completely change the dink and dunk and become way more one-dimensional. And you saw with the Eagles, they refused to change for the first half, and they got completely shut down until they had to go and throw the playbook out and do something completely different in the second half. Rams also kind of did more prevent defense style stuff there too. But do you guys see this Colts offense kind of like morphing, or do you think Steichen is going to try to have more of his way and see how that goes in the first quarter?
One thing about Steichen, at least I've seen it this year, and even kind of saw what Richardson, is that when it comes to at least game planning for his quarterback, I would like to say like the initial ideas tend to always be really good. I mean, and so like with this season, we've seen with Daniel Jones, because the thing I'll give him is that he has been absolutely incredibly accurate, which is obviously was the biggest discrepancy against Anthony Richardson coming into the league from college and what we've seen from the past few years. I mean, because Daniel Jones, he's at a 70% clip right now, which, if Richardson could have at least just hit like 55, we would have been great. So the fact that just Daniel Jones it's not so much I'll say that he's not taking the risk that Anthony Richardson would, and it's working for the better because of that. And a lot of that, I believe, is Steichen. Richardson was very much wanted to play that hero balls type of deal, to whereas I think Steichen's kind of basic MO is just complete the pass.
How do you guys feel about Steichen? I mean, it feels like when he kind of came in and they just didn't do well, it was kind of felt like Steichen and even Ballard were going to be on the chopping block if this year wasn't successful.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing that I was the most upset about is when this news first came out. I thought it was just like a desperation move to save their jobs, just like what Dayball's doing right now in New York. It's just a desperation move. But after hearing more about the quarterback situation, Jones just wanted it more. Which is why I feel like he's just so motivated to play well right now. The guy simply wanted it more. Richardson, you would expect him to be the first guy in, the last guy to leave, and that was actually Jones. Who would have thought? Right. Jones just wanted it more. And to be honest, Richardson, just like Rondo said, he takes the risks. That 50 or 60-yard throw to Alec Pierce last year in week 1. I thought that we had our quarterback situation figured out, and then, it just kind of spiraled from there. But the playbook, back to the original question, though, the playbook, I feel like Rondo's right. The general ideas here are normally pretty good just because of how creative he is. But then again, maybe the creativity wasn't, there as much last year because, Richardson couldn't hit the easy throws. So, I think we're kind of seeing if the first read isn't there, he can hit Ward in the flat, or he can hit Downs in the flat now versus, it was either deep shot or nothing. So I think we're really seeing the creativity of the playbook, and I'm actually excited to see how they're going to match up this week against you guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I am going to mention that we are live on youtube.com/@EastCoastRams. If anybody who's watching has a comment or a question that they want to throw into, First and 56th, just throw those into the comments and we will display them and talk about them as we continue our conversation with these guys. All right. So do you guys have any questions for us about the Rams game? Do you guys have any anything you guys want to bring up?
Well, okay, so I got one question, Lisa. So Cooper Kupp leaving and then replacing with Devontae Adams. What was the initial mindset when obviously Cooper Kupp what happened first? Did he get signed first? You guys
Cooper Kupp left.
He got
first.
cut.
Okay, so initial reaction to Kupp leaving and then replacing him with Devontae.
All right, so do you want the positive spin first or the negative spin first?
Either one.
All right, Ashton, go with the negative spin.
Okay, so I feel like the last 2 years, Cooper Kupp has been dealing with a lot of lingering injuries, and he wasn't 100% himself, and he was struggling with separation, especially last year. And it got to the point where visibly he was just so easily coverable. He wasn't getting open. His thing is really good route running and precise, and he just didn't have that burst anymore at like the top of his routes. And he just wasn't getting open. It was to the point where like week 4 or 5, I was calling for a rookie Jordan Whittington get snaps over him because he was more explosive and he was getting more open. And I actually think them keeping Cooper Kupp out there when he wasn't 100% was actively hurting the offense. The Rams had a bottom 10 offense last year. When you look, if you take out that
bottom
Bills
10
game,
receiver core, I would still say, but go ahead.
Yeah. But overall, the offense struggled. And take out that Bills game, we were anemic offense. We were struggling. We were only winning games defensively. Now, fast forward this year, we get Devontae, and I definitely felt like he was an upgrade from what Cooper Kupp has been. Now, he looks a little bit more healthy in Seattle, and I still love Kupp as a player and a person. But I don't think the offense was getting advanced with him currently on the roster the last 2 years. So that's kind of a negative spin, as Zach would.
My spin or my opposite spin was, I mean, I was heartbroken when he left. Obviously, I think he's still a really good receiver. Do I think he's elite? I do think he's dropped down from that quite a bit. But I think when Ashton was trying to tell him to bench, it's really hard to bench one of your pillars or one of your focal points of the team. You know, the fan favorite should not be benched. No matter what, in my opinion. So they did move on from him. I do think, to be fair to the Rams organization, is that they basically had Cooper Kupp 2.0 already on the team with Puka Nacua. Spent 2 years learning under Cooper Kupp and basically was a younger, healthier, maybe even a little bit more physical Cooper Kupp. And realistically, you just didn't need two of them on the field. You needed somebody else who's able to do different things, be able to stretch the field differently, be more of another threat that you can have out there. And I just don't think having Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua out on the field at the same time was causing a lot of threat to defenses.
And the Stafford Rams, outside of like that period when we had Kupp and we had OBJ, had never had two elite wide receivers or like two top tier wide receivers on the field at the same time. I would describe Kupp as a good to middling wide receiver last 2 years. And it's just been Puka as a prime. And then before that, it was just Kupp and a different cast of wide receivers coming in and out. But this is probably the best overall, and we can talk about this further about the roster. This is the best overall roster, in my opinion, that Sean McVay has had in his tenure, just top to bottom. And we were thrilled with the quality of depth. The Rams had the most players claimed off of waivers after the season, and there's a reason for that because this roster, top bottom, I feel like is a really good Super Bowl contending roster. Our wide receivers are the best I've seen them in a long time. D-line is best I've seen it in a long time. We have holes at O-line, and we have some holes in the secondary, which we can talk about. But, Cooper Kupp was just not a right fit anymore.
It's really bad. It kind of makes you feel, I don't know if I should feel bad or feel really good, but it's when you say that, this is probably the best roster. And then you think about the Super Bowl roster where you had Triple Crown winner Cooper Kupp, you had OBJ, you had Van Jefferson, you had Aaron Donald, you had Jalen Ramsey, and yet overall, this team that we have currently might even be better than that team.
It was very top heavy. I'll say this is one of the least top heavy Rams teams that Sean McVay has had. The Rams under McVay for the most part has gone known as like the flashy team that goes out, trades, gets big names, and has these big players that play and make flashy plays. And this is a different style team in the last 2 years than we've had in the prior 7 or 8 with McVay. This is more homegrown, home drafted team. A lot of unknown, like not family household names. People are going to start learning names of some of these players soon, like Fisk, Verse, like Puka's become household, but really top-notch roster.
What's your guys' missing piece? Where do you guys think that there's one piece of the puzzle that you wish they would go trade for now?
This answer's so easy, right, Rondo?
It's the same thing ever since we lost Matheson, Freeney, and it hasn't changed. We need still need a pass rush.
Yeah.
Haven't had it since 98-93, and yeah.
Wasn't
Hendrickson now?
Wasn't Latu supposed to be that guy?
He is supposed to be that guy.
Did you guys draft him right before us?
They did.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were the pick because I thought you guys were going to take Verse, to be honest. I didn't expect Verse to be there at 18. It's still mind-boggling that like 6 QBs or 5 QB, whatever, like the first defensive player went at like 13 or 14. Still crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, that was my first overall pick too. Like I really wanted Latu, but the thing that aggravates me about this guy is he's right there. Like he's got to lead the league in pressures, man. He had like 8 pressures last week. He had like a 90 overall PFF grade, but the dude just can't get home. Like he's right there, but he just can't get home. Like it's so aggravating to watch sometimes because like against like these mobile quarterbacks like Cam Ward, they'll escape the pocket and make a nice throw on the run. So, granted, if we're playing against, I don't know, a statue like Jared Goff, or I can't even really think about like a immobile quarterback.
Stafford.
Really everybody, well, Stafford, yeah, but that's only because of his age. But, like there's really, not that many quarterbacks that really don't run at least a little bit anymore. But Latu is so close, man. But Trey Hendrickson, if the Bengals lose out, if we're like, say, 5-1 in a couple weeks, hey, he's there. I'd give up a first-round pick for him. So, I don't know.
Is it because he doesn't have like a other like suitable counterpart on the other side of the pass rush with him? So like he's getting a lot of focus on the O-line?
I wouldn't even say that because all the attention goes to the middle with Buckner and Stewart. So he should have it easy.
Yeah. And Pay is okay. Pay's a guy who's just consistent in the fact where he'll get you like 7-8 sacks a year. He's actually pretty good against the run, but he's not really a guy that'll, hit you with a crazy spin move and get a sack. But he's consistent. He's just okay. And it's the same thing with Ballard. I mean, Ballard just drafted all these defensive linemen. Like, Tyquan Lewis is another guy too, where he's been there for years and he's just consistent. You'll know he'll get 6-7 sacks a year, but he's not going to get home all the time, but he's just okay. Like, sure. I don't know.
Then you mentioned back that our second round pick hasn't even played it down yet either. He's been a healthy scratch the past 3 weeks, which is really still kind of confusing.
Well, tell us about it.
We got one of those too. I mean, you guys got Tyler Warren when I think the Rams really wanted to try to move up to get him at some point.
They tried.
They tried, and so we have a tight end who has also not played, or maybe he has played maybe 1 snap or 2 snaps, something, but. He didn't play at all during the Eagles game in Ferguson. So, we got one of those too. You guys got the tight end, we got the edge. Maybe that's the trade-off that we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't worry about that stuff. I think sometimes these rookies just take a little some rookies take more time to kind of like marinate and get used to the NFL speed and stuff like that, especially at tight end. So it's very impressive what Warren has been doing.
Yeah, Verse
So,
had to. He came in and thought, he was running, rampant, but he just kept flying past the QBs and could never not get a hold. He was just slipping and sliding right past these guys. So finally, he was able to control himself a little bit and get home finally.
So I
yeah,
just
yeah.
wish our guy would do
It,
that.
It's a sad problem when you're flying past the QBs, but
Yeah.
that's funny. Anybody else on your draft picks that you guys picked up that is worth noting about?
No.
No.
We had no. It's actually really
ooh,
sad. We picked up another slot corner, and I want to say the third or fourth round. His name was Justin Wally from Minnesota, tearing it up in camp, and then in the first preseason game, he tore his Achilles. So
oh,
there was really high hopes about him, and then in the
Yeah.
later rounds, we took Riley Leonard, which is that's third string quarterback. You don't really need to worry about that, but no. I don't really think any other rookies really have been making, so much noise. But then again, I mean, this is the most that we've spent in free agency. So, Warren really is the only guy that's been playing because normally where rookies would play, we've spent some money on those
Yeah.
positions. So
Well, the Rams are only 3.5 favorites in this game. That's basically because of home field advantage. So it's gonna be a brutal game, going back and forth.
the over is like nuts. The over underline. I think they already have. I haven't checked. Keep on talking.
48.5.
Yeah, 48.5. That is. I actually think this is going to be a slow game to start. At least in the first quarter. And then I think it gets kind of off to the races. I think both teams are going to be feeling each other out. And this Colts defense is going to be able to get some penetration initially. So same thing with the Rams
I mean, the Rams
on the
defense
Colts.
typically comes out pretty hot. I think I would have to go back and look at all of the starters of each one, but the Rams defense tends to get hot and then slowly starts to allow more plays to happen. Sometimes purposefully, sometimes not.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'll be a shootout. To be honest, you guys will still win because of the corners, but I think it's gonna be a shootout.
Oh man, guys, I'm nervous beyond belief only because I live in Indianapolis and I like everything that I have in my offices are all Rams stuff. So I'm gonna get. They all
Right.
know that I'm a Rams fan, so I'm just gonna get a whole bunch of crap for
Right.
till the next time that's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good night for fantasy owners. I think
I'll
I'll
say
put
that
it
too.
that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be at least if you have fantasy assets all over the field, you'll be happy. Like, I think Puka is going to get his own and Devontae will, and so will Pittman. And I'm so happy because I've always loved Pittman's game. And I felt
did
like
too.
he just never had anyone to throw him the ball. And it's been such a struggle to see like these quarterbacks like not target him either. So now like Daniel Jones just has like all these good wide receivers and tight end to be able to throw to. So
Yeah. This
Cool.
question just popped into my head here, though.
Sure.
What do you guys think about the turf? Because I saw that, obviously, like the Chargers play there as well. And, Najee just tore his Achilles, non-contact. People are kind of comparing it to MetLife. And to me, I was told, Rondo, I've been on record for saying this, a bigger dub to me is playing the Giants or the Jets and coming out with no injuries. So, like, how do you guys feel about, like, the actual turf situation here? Because like the Rams don't seem to be effective, but like I feel like it for some reason hits the Chargers pretty hard every year. So I don't know. Like
I
with
mean
Slater.
we've been getting hit with injuries
But I don't
pretty
know. I don't know if it's
consistently.
because of the turf.
I personally think every field in the NFL should be grass. These are multi-million-dollar corporations. They can afford grass and upkeep, and I think it's just healthier. And I think the games look better personally whenever they're played on grass versus turf. The players look more explosive, but that's a personal opinion, and I don't own the NFL team, so I can't do anything about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. I think obviously it's better for everyone to have grass, but I don't think that it has actually affected the Rams like you kind of alluded to if ever.
Well, I
Yeah.
do. I think it can affect some of these athletes when they go back and forth a lot. And you have to think, like, when you're traveling, you go to a away game that's on grass, and then you come back and play on turf, and then you do grass again. It's like your body can't, your muscles can feel the difference, and it's like different resistant levels. And it has been proven that turf causes more injuries just because it gives less. So I agree with you there. Do they use grass at Lucas?
No, it's turf. But they just got like this new turf that they just made last year. It's
Astro?
like I forgot what it's called, but coincidentally, it was on that Richardson touchdown pass to Pierce against Houston. I mean, the quarterback himself wasn't used to it, so on his drop back, he slipped and somehow he still threw it. But he wouldn't have slipped if it was because that was the first game with the new turf. I don't know why they didn't really try it in the preseason. That was the first time they tried it. The
Yeah.
quarterback wasn't used to it and he slipped. It's like some type of like coconut or corn husk or something like that they tried at Lucas Oil this last year, and it seems to be working so far. But I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
I'm on team. Every field needs to be full of grass. Like it's a billion-dollar
It's gotta
company, but I and you would think they would want to, but or actually not even that. I'll go they always want to preach about this a player safety crap, as I call it. It's like if you
Yeah.
really care about player safety, it would be mandatory grass. You would protect your most expensive assets. But there I go doing that logic thing again.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You invest millions of dollars into these athletes and millions of dollars, like 12, 15, 20 million dollar athletes, and you're like, no, I can't spend extra million or two on grass. Okay.
I just never understood why the MLB does it and the NFL doesn't. So I don't know.
Well,
I
not
mean,
only that, it's
so-
like other sports, like when the World Cup comes, or like like soccer
They have-
comes, they change the grass, so it's like you change it for them, but not for your own.
I will say, so I'm pro grass, but I will say, 32 teams, 30 stadiums with different weather climate that play either in the snow or, I think it becomes a challenge at some point when Buffalo, how do you maintain grass in December in Buffalo compared to, sunny Arizona where they can roll out their thing in sun no matter what the year is.
Zach, that owner has enough to pay for that grass field to be replaced every day. Each one of those owners.
Yeah.
Each
hold on. Except for the Bengals. The Bengals don't have that fund. Don't have the money to do that.
Well, Bengals need to be sold anyways.
Didn't they only just get an indoor practice facility like 3 years ago?
I think so.
Is it even really a good indoor facility? Probably not.
At least it's indoors. Finally,
we can't talk about indoor facilities being built. Ours has been built for like 10 years. In this, it's been like 3 or 4, but
we're in sunny California. What do you say? There's no bad weather in California.
Yeah, they deserve a new indoor building though, Zach. Anything else, Zach, we want to bring up or ask them? You guys got anything else you want to ask us before we kind of wrap it up?
Score predictions.
I hate score predictions. Hate them.
Let's
guess first. Guess first.
Yeah. So I think the Colts will cover the 3.5. I don't think they'll win though. I think it'll be per se a 28-27 type game.
Give me a 31-28 Rams.
I'll go 38-34 Rams.
That's a high scoring game right there, Ashton. You better hope that we get into the red zone.
Yeah, and that's on the last second touchdown to win it.
Yeah, I can't even do the good math to make it that we would get a field goal because I think we're going to be terrified of field goals this game. So I think it's going to be probably 28-24.
Yeah, watch it be a 3-6 game. Watch it be 3-6.
I hate it all. I hate it all. but I hate picking.
Yeah, or 3-0 like that Vikings game last year. That must have been a joy to watch. You never know with the NFL. These games kind of get their own life of their they get their own life when they go through and things just happen and it kind of just takes off from there. So it's kind of hard to predict.
Yeah.
I mean, being in Vegas, I love that 3-0 game because I didn't have to hear Raiders throughout the whole casino. So yeah.
Oh man,
I love that. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
That's one place that I do want to visit. I do want to visit their stadium. It's pretty cool. Allegiant Stadium.
Allegiant.
if the ticket prices weren't $1 million.
Yeah, most expensive
For
ticket in
bleeds.
the league. Unreal.
The Raiders is?
Yeah, most expensive ticket in the league.
Dude, have they
'cause they got
watched
that
their
new
own
stadium.
games?
It's all about Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I
It's
love
not
catching
even LA
games in Indy,
prices.
though, man. Man, Indy's so cheap. So cheap.
You could fly there and get a game for less than you can get into the Allegiant Stadium.
Oh, seriously, man. Like, man, like I said before, I'm based out of Pennsylvania here. So, Pittsburgh's about an hour and a half away from here. And we play in Pittsburgh this year. And, bleeds are, a couple $100 a piece. I'm like, what is this? Like, they suck too. But, you look on Ticketmaster, you can get a decent seat in Indy for under $100. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's super nice.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say me and Zach were lucky enough to be able to go and see Indy and also got to see Puka's first NFL touchdown in that game too. So
That's dope.
nice.
That is,
stadium.
I will say, the second half when the Colts came back, that was the loudest I've ever heard that stadium be. It was
I didn't think we were going to win that game either because if you don't know, I have never been to a Rams game where they've lost, and Zach had the totally opposite experience. And so when we were going there,
I was one.
He's like 1-5.
Something. Yeah, it was something stupid.
And then we started looking at each other like, oh no, it's happening again. And Richardson had a great game too. He was starting to play really well. I was like, oh man, my record's gonna get broken.
Then he got injured, and they had to deal with a backup for the last 2 or 3 plays of the game. Something like that.
Yeah.
We didn't even give you guys a chance. All right. Anyways, you guys want to promote anything before we wrap it up?
You got it, Rondo.
Yeah, I got it. Obviously, we got our handles there. You can follow us on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, at First and 56. As for a podcast, you can catch us on everything goes to a podcast. So Spotify, iTunes, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, our Facebook page, First 56, and then on YouTube, we are a part of the Sideline Sports organization. So you can catch our show on their YouTube channel as well as a bunch of other great shows that are not just football, but across every single entire sport.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you guys joining us for this week's episode. It's
Appreciate
always great to talk about with the opposite fan base on, the pros, the cons, and everything in between. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys having us.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for this week's episode of the East Coast Rams podcast. You can find our podcast on any of the audio platforms, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, we're there. You can also find us live on YouTube, youtube.com/@EastCoastRams. You can find us on X at East Coast Rams, and you can find us on Threads and Instagram at East Coast Rams Pod, and then we're also on Blue Sky. Search for us at East Coast Rams. Yeah, that's all we got for this week. We will see you guys next week on our recap episode of the Week 4 matchup against the Colts, and then we go on to immediately into a short week with the 49ers.
Oh, 49ers.
Yeah, Thursday Night Football, 49ers. I will be flying over SoFi Stadium during halftime, so it'll be a very interesting time next week.
Well, half their team is already in the hospital, so we'll see how that goes.
They're still 3-0. They're still 3-0. All right, we better wrap this up before we have an internal debate. All right, guys, we'll see you guys next time.